What is up, ladies and gentlemen? But most of all, you ladies out there, thanks for clicking on another episode of Break the Silence. I am your host, Cyborg. Are the New York Knicks for real? Split cow! What a massively impressive performance from the New York Knicks. Tonight we got to watch the Knicks take down the Boston Celtics in Madison Square Garden, 109-94. A game in which the New York Knicks kind of dominated from start to finish. The Celtics tried to make runs, but the New York Knicks continually just shut them down. And there's so much to look at because the Knicks have now won 6 games in a row. They're the 5 seed in the Eastern Conference, and they're starting to play like real contenders ever since they made that trade for Josh Hart. So we're going to look at this team, look at what's working for them, and we're going to break down this game a little bit tonight and why I was so highly impressed with the New York Knicks. So let me be honest, I was a little skeptical of the way that the New York Knicks were building this roster. I think Julius Randle's a very nice player we've seen. Jalen Brunson's a nice player. RJ Barrett, nice player. All these guys are solid. But I was worried that putting them together wouldn't get you to the spot you want to be as an actual contender in the Eastern Conference. You just don't really know if Jalen Brunson would be able to step up from that role he had kind of playing, second, third guard in Dallas last year to being a star guard, a guy who's borderline all-star, maybe all-star snub for this most recent all-star game. Julius Randle played great 2 years ago, kind of had a down year last year, but has really started to pick it back up. RJ Barrett, could he take a step forward to make this team reach its full potential, I guess is what I would say. And so many things are coming together with the way that they're playing basketball, and I'm highly impressed by a couple guys off their bench, a couple guys in their starting lineup, and we're going to break it all down. Before we get into the game, take a second to subscribe to the channel. We're up over 1,000 subscribers, and we're going to keep grinding, keep growing. We're closing out this season, and it's been a phenomenal NBA season, and we're going to be putting out so much content in the last couple weeks into the playoffs, so we're super pumped for that, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any. So tonight, the New York Knicks got 23 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists from their all-star Julius Randle. They got 23 points off the bench from Immanuel Quickley. He was also plus 15 for the game. Mitchell Robinson gave you 10 points, 13 rebounds, 2 blocks. Jalen Brunson, 17 points, was a plus 21 leading the team. RJ Barrett kind of had a little bit of an off night, but 10.7 rebounds, did a good job defensively. And then Josh Hart, their new addition, 12 points. The New York Knicks have had Josh Hart now for 6 games. They've won all of them. In those games, they're the number 1 team in the NBA in offensive rating. Now, this is what's so fascinating, I think, about this New York Knicks team. And we all know that they're coached by Tom Thibodeau, a coach who is defensive-oriented, talks about just playing hard, playing aggressive, and usually that's where they pride themselves on that side of the basketball. This year, this New York Knicks team is 6th in offensive rating and 14th in defensive rating. So they're a fine defensive team, but they're a very good offensive team. And it's led by so much, not only their veteran talent, but they have that young talent, Immanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, Quentin Grimes I like. Obi Toppin got some playing time tonight, had 9 points in 12 minutes. So they're getting production from all over. And what was so impressive about the New York Knicks tonight, in my opinion, is that, yes, Boston was really, really struggling shooting the 3-ball. Yes, they were struggling offensively, and you got to give a lot of credit to the Knicks as well, but Boston was not shooting the basketball very well. But every time Boston would try to make a run, the New York Knicks would shut it down. And I think that's the sign of a quality basketball team. When you jump up in the first quarter 27-15, and then Boston starts to fight back. This is the number 1 team in the NBA, the Boston Celtics. Boston is fighting back, and they score 31 in the second quarter. The Knicks score 33. Boston scores 29 in the third quarter. The Knicks score 28. In the fourth quarter, Boston scores 19, the Knicks score 21. Every time Boston started to make a run, the Knicks just shut it down and never really let this game get as close as Boston wanted to try to make it there at the end. So highly, highly impressive performance by the New York Knicks. They're 3rd in the NBA in rebounding. They're 8th in net rating. They don't turn the ball over. They're only 4th in the league, fewest turnovers. And they're 4th in ISO points. So I think it's very interesting the way that the Knicks play basketball. They have a guard who's very good in the ISO. Julius Randle's very good in the ISO, but Jalen Brunson is also very good as a pick and roll ball handler. He's a top 20 guy in the NBA as the pick and roll ball handler. So he's versatile, able to do so many things. And I think he's really taken a leap even from what we saw in the playoffs last year with Dallas. Jalen Brunson has been playing awesome basketball, and his ability to draw fouls, his ability to score in the mid-range, score off balance, score over taller defenders, use his body to manipulate the defender to where he wants to get to on the floor. Highly, highly impressive stuff from Jalen Brunson. They brought in Josh Hart. Josh Hart, who's a very good scorer, very good friends with Jalen Brunson. Now, Josh Hart's a good player, and on the season, for the games he's played with the Knicks, he's averaging 14.2 points a game, so clearly added some offense there. But what this even tells me more about the New York Knicks is that they were in a win-now mentality, and what they told their players is, hey, we're going to go out in the trade deadline, we're going to trade for a quality basketball player, and we're going to go out here and we're going to try to win basketball games. And that's exactly what the New York Knicks have done, and that's what they've told all their players, and that instills confidence, that instills aggressiveness, passion in the team, feeling like, hey, we're not just out here, trying to sneak into the playoffs. We're trying to compete in the Eastern Conference. The Nets fell down a tier. Giannis is hurt. The Sixers are up and down. The Cavs have been struggling a little bit lately. You just beat Boston tonight. As the Knicks, can you get yourself in that conversation? Can you get yourself to the 4 seed where in the first round you're probably playing Cleveland and you have home court advantage? If you can get there, you potentially get in the second round. You're playing Boston in the second round. Obviously, these are tough series. These are big stepping stones for the Knicks. We'll see what happens there. We saw the Knicks be good a few years ago, and when they got to the playoffs, they kind of struggled. The New York Knicks do play a brand of basketball, and Tom Thibodeau coaches a brand of basketball that plays really, really hard in the regular season. They play harder than most teams in the regular season. So in the playoffs, when other teams kind of step it up a notch, the Knicks, kind of already been playing there. So it is going to be interesting to watch how this translates to the playoffs. But what's so important in the playoffs is being able to get a bucket in the half court. The game slows down so much, and sometimes you're not going to, in the way that your opponent studies your film and knows what you're going to do, sometimes you just need a guy who can go out there and get you a bucket, get you a tough bucket in a big situation. And Jalen Brunson has proven that he's able to do that. He's also proven he's able to do that in big situations. There's no moment too big for him. So a lot of things I really like about this New York Knicks roster. Julius Randle, on the season, averaging 25 points, 10.6 rebounds, 4 assists. Very deserving all-star, playing awesome. Obviously, Jalen Brunson. RJ Barrett averaging 20 a game, 5 rebounds. He's a very good defender. Tonight, they did an excellent job on the Boston Celtics. But all in all, I'm very impressed by what I saw from this New York Knicks team. And obviously, yes, the Celtics were out without Jaylen Brown, and that's a big deal. But when it comes to how the Knicks should view this game, how the Knicks should view this stretch they've had, I wouldn't even think about that. From the Celtics' perspective, we'll talk about them for a second. You obviously had one of the worst shooting nights of the season. You really struggled shooting as far as Tatum the other night against the Philadelphia 76ers, but you found a way to win that. You're going to have stretches in the season, in an 82-game season, where you play really well and you're really hard to beat, and you really struggle, and you got to find a way to grind out victories and not let these losses stack on top of each other. You got a big game in Cleveland on Wednesday, and then you play Cleveland again on Monday. So the Boston Celtics just need to make sure that they keep their head on straight, make sure that you don't let these losses stack, and get back on track. And I think the Boston Celtics will be all right. I'm a Celtics fan. I do have my concerns about the team, especially when it comes to the playoff time with what we saw last year. So we'll certainly see how they continue to develop and continue to play. I think Joe Mazzulla, to me, is a big question mark. We'll continue to see how that ends up working out. I think some of his coaching decisions, you could say, are questionable. But all in all, this was an entertaining basketball game. Impressive victory for the New York Knicks. Getting into that 5 seed, and now you're really in real competition, because behind you, the Nets are going to start falling. The Heat have kind of been struggling lately, even though they got a big win in against Philadelphia tonight. But all in all, Knicks, you got to feel happy about where you're going. I would like to see them develop maybe Obi Toppin a little bit more. I think, you're at a point where you have quality players now, and Obi Toppin feels like they just keep waiting to let this man develop. So I think they either should at some point maybe trade him for a quality win now asset, or you actually let this guy get on the court and try to develop into the player you think he might be. We'll see what happens there. But that's all we got for you as far as this game. We're coming back tomorrow with more breakdowns and more games. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Cyber go.